They say every town has a place that's better left forgotten. A boarded-up house, a sealed well, a stretch of road no one drives after dark. Here, it's Bops Carnival. Not that that was ever its real name. It opened in 1973 as the Laughing Clown Carnival, a full-colored dream on the edge of town. Posters still hang, torn and sun-bleached, plastered to concrete walls and the side of old barns. Come one, come all, ride the carousel nocturne. Laughs, love, and lights under the stars. It was the kind of place where young couples went on first dates, where the air smelled like popcorn and cotton candy, where the carousel spun to a sweet waltz of tinkling bells and painted horses, until Buddy Bop started killing people. That wasn't even his real name. No one knows what it was. His birth certificate, ID, employment records, all long gone, if they ever existed. Everyone just called him Buddy the Bop or Buddy Bop because of the way he moved, jerky, exaggerated, like a wind-up toy 2 seconds from snapping. He was never seen without the clown suit. Full costume, full makeup, every day, everywhere, even off the lot. People say he'd walk through town like that, red smile painted across his face, boots squeaking on the pavement, nodding at kids, staring a little too long at couples holding hands. He lived in an old travel trailer behind the carnival, but no one knew what he did inside. The windows were covered in red curtains. No lights ever showed through at night. And when someone knocked, he didn't answer. Not even the other carnies got close. Still, he was a headliner. He juggled knives, did slapstick gags, made balloon animals that never looked quite right, twisted into shapes with too many legs or faces that didn't belong. The kids laughed, the teens laughed harder, and the couples, they loved him. He made them heart-shaped balloons and called them sweethearts, and then they started disappearing. At first it was brushed off. Young couples ran off all the time, didn't they? Carnival romances gone too far. But then it happened again, and again, always couples. Always after a night at the Laughing Clown Carnival. Some had last been seen boarding the carousel nocturne, hand in hand, smiling under the lights, and then they were gone. When the cops finally pieced it together, it was too late. The carnival owners and carnies had vanished overnight. Everything left behind. Rides rusting, lights still flickering, popcorn machines still warm, the carousel still spinning. They found 6 bodies in total, buried beneath the midway in a space so tight the coroner said some had to be folded in half just to fit, and all of them were smiling. Not peacefully, not naturally. Their lips were stretched wide, the facial muscles torn from the tension. And someone, after death, had smeared on crude, clown-like makeup. White grease paint caked across their faces, flaking at the edges. Thick black rings circled their eyes like bruises, and over their mouths a grotesque red grin had been slathered across their skin, drawn far past the corners of their lips, almost to the jawline. It wasn't makeup, it was a mask of mockery, a final performance, forced upon them. Some had red dots painted on their cheeks. One had tufts of synthetic hair glued to their scalp, like a clown wig was being built, piece by piece. Their hands were curled tight, some broken at the knuckles, as if they'd tried to fight or claw their way free. But their eyes told the worst of it, wide open, bloodshot, fixed upward, like they'd died staring at something looming just above them, and they couldn't look away. They searched for him for months, but Buddy Bop was never found. His trailer was empty, his suit still hung inside, clean, pressed, untouched. But not his mask. That was missing. And every now and then, when the fog rolls in just right, the locals say they can still hear the carousel music drifting on the wind. Even though there's no power, even though the place has been locked down for decades, even though Buddy Bop was never caught. They said the carousel never stopped playing during the investigation. Even unplugged, even dismantled, even when the music box was removed, it played. Buddy Bop was never caught, but his name stuck. Now the locals only call it Bop's Carnival. They boarded it up after that, welded the gates shut, hauled away the ticket booths and food stalls, erected a sign warning off trespassers. But it didn't matter. The stories were already out there. The place had a name now, Bops Carnival, and people loved their monsters. Over the years it became a local legend, a rite of passage for teens to sneak in on dares. Urban explorers left behind graffiti and broken camera rigs. Some swore they saw a figure watching from the carousel. Others said they heard music when the wind was still, and a few never came back out. Most locals won't go near the place, not even in daylight. But then came Phantom Circuit, a small-time paranormal group from a few towns over. 4 members, a couple of live streams, nothing special. But they'd gotten their hands on something, a stack of original newspaper clippings, and a sealed box of crime scene photos from someone's late uncle, a retired sheriff's deputy who had worked the Bop case. Inside were things the public had never seen, shots of the bodies beneath the midway. A journal from one of the carnival workers who claimed Buddy Bop wasn't human, and a still frame pulled from a destroyed surveillance camera that showed a shadowy figure climbing onto the carousel nocturne at 3:14 a.m., long after the park had shut down. They became obsessed. For weeks, they pieced together a timeline, collected eyewitness accounts. One member even tracked down a surviving carny who swore up and down that Buddy Bop never slept, that he'd seen him pacing in the mirror maze at midnight, long after the man was supposed to be off duty, that sometimes the carousel would spin with no power running to it, just that haunting music drifting through the fog. And on October 21st, under a full moon, they went in. The footage starts normal enough, banter, jokes, drone shots of the grounds from above, but everything shifts when they get close to the carousel nocturne. The air changes. They say it got cold, too cold for a fall night in the south, and the moment one of them steps onto the carousel, the music starts. It's not a recording, not ambient sound. It plays loud and clear, warped and distant, like it's coming through waterlogged speakers. The camera glitches, static. One frame freezes on a single carousel horse, its painted eyes suddenly seeming alive, glossy in the reflected light. Another frame captures the mirror maze where a blurred figure grins from the glass before flickering away. Then the disappearances begin. Tyler is first. He's walking past the carousel, flashlight bobbing, muttering about old wiring when his light winks out. A single frame catches him looking up in confusion, and then he's gone. No sound, no struggle, only the low creak of carousel chains and that tinkling music echoing across the midway. Next is Kayla. Her handheld camera catches a lone balloon drifting just above the cracked pavement. A gloved hand slips into frame and plucks it down. She gasps, spins, and the camera jerks to the ground. It skids across the dirt, landing on its side. In the reflection of the carousel's mirrors, something white and grinning passes by before the frame shakes and cuts. The final minutes are the most chilling. The carousel roars to life, lights flickering weakly, spinning faster than it ever should. Music warps and slows, reversing in broken, garbled tones. The last team member stumbles backward, breathing hard, and the camera slips from his hands. A clown steps into frame. Oversized, cracked white shoes first, splattered with mud and streaks of something darker. Striped socks, pants ripped at the knees, a filthy vest hanging loose, smeared with red. In one hand a balloon bobs lazily. The other hand, long fingers twitching, trails along the dirt as it moves closer. Then the face leans into the lens. White paint cracked and flaking over grayish, pitted skin. Black rings around the eyes, gleaming in the light. A grin smeared too wide and wet, with yellow teeth glinting through. He tilts his head, balloon brushing the lens, and a faint, stuttering laugh rattles through the speaker. The next morning, police received an anonymous tip about an abandoned van outside the carnival gates. When they arrived, the sight made their skin crawl. Pinned to the windshield was a fresh flyer. One night only, ride the carousel nocturne. Where love lasts forever, Buddy Bop welcomes you back. The van's side door hung open, keys still in the ignition. Every piece of the team's cameras, phones, and recording gear had been arranged in a perfect row on the ground beside the van, as if someone had taken their time to display it. On the passenger seat sat a single open laptop, its screen casting a cold glow in the morning light. The footage was already playing. A clown with smeared white face paint and a dripping red grin crouched close, staring straight into the lens. He tilted his head slowly, savoring the moment. Then, without a sound, his smile stretched wider, just before the clip looped back to the start, over and over, waiting for someone to watch. Authorities tore apart the carousel nocturne. Cadaver dogs led them straight to the rotting beams beneath the midway. Body bags came out one by one, then two, then four, and finally a fifth body bag, small, twisted, trapped beneath the gears. Inside were the mummified remains of Buddy Bop himself, still in fragments of his original suit. Many people whisper that Buddy Bop's ghost never left, that it lingers in the abandoned carnival, waiting for someone foolish enough to wander inside. But they're all wrong. Someone else has picked up where he left off. And I would know, because I wrote the headline that hit the stands the next morning. Buddy Bop dead. Copycat clown killer suspected. In the article, I speculated that maybe the police got it wrong all those years ago. Maybe Buddy Bop's ghost wasn't real at all. Maybe the nightmare just needed someone willing to put the paint back on, to wear the white face, to stretch the red grin. The town had almost managed to forget. For decades, Bop's Carnival was just a ghost on the edge of memory, a boarded-up ruin kids whispered about on Halloween. But ever since the Phantom Circuit team vanished a year ago, whispers of the nightmare have started again. A camper goes missing here, a hiker there. Never enough to make headlines, but enough that the locals keep their doors locked at night. No bodies have ever been found, and everyone waits, sick with dread, for the day whoever replaced Buddy Bop decides to strike again. It's almost funny, really. All these years, they've been whispering about Buddy Bop. But the truth? It was a shame Buddy Bop caught me out there that night, saw me in the makeup, burying that last couple behind the carousel. He was odd. He was a clown. And clowns are always creepy, aren't they? It was easy to write the stories, to steer the suspicion his way. Easy to make the town believe the nightmare had a painted face that wasn't mine. And now, I think it's time Buddy Bop smiled again. So if you're reading this now, maybe you're wondering if I'm out there tonight. Maybe you hear carnival music in the dark. Maybe you'll follow it, and if you do, I'll be waiting, with Buddy Bop's grin painted across my face, just for you. That concludes tonight's story. We hope you enjoyed this terrifying descent into the dark. If you see a faded flyer promising one night only, burn it. Because once the music starts, he knows you're listening. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and beware of the whispers after dark.